I don't think it's groundbreaking to say this is not slay the boots down house mama or whatever the fuck I'm supposed to say. I'm gay and I don't even know what that one means. Like, you're just saying words. You're just saying nouns. There's not even a verb in here. What? Boots isn't a verb.
We speak the King's English here, okay? Always take a drink right after you.
Always. Get it your mouth nice and wet for the recording sounds. How are you? Is that what I'm... No. I'm going to say instead, no. Stop everything. Why? What's wrong with me? Welcome to Your Inner Child is an Idiot, the podcast where we look back on our childhoods, things from our childhoods, things, nouns, and wonder if they were any good to begin with, much like that introduction. My name is Damon. Look, my name's Damon.
I'm DJ. You know what I like about this? We started this podcast before the first Trump administration, and we're still working it out. So, you know what I love? Just as like my proposition to you listeners is that you listen to this podcast, just feel a little better about yourself. Any incremental improvement that you've made in your lives, is a plural of that. Just rest assured that we've made zero improvements. We're not any better at this than we used to be.
Is it possible for me to convince you that not unlike Merlin, I live my life backwards, and that's why the introductions were better at the beginning than they are now?
Are you Benjamin Buttoning me?
I might be Benjamin Buttoning.
Is that the movie we're covering?
No!
Okay.
DJ, as a giveaway...
Yeah.
To when we recorded this.
Okay.
I just saw Wicked.
Okay.
This weekend. Part 1. Necessary to split it up.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you split up a 2-act structure? It just makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, and that movie was about a green-skinned villain or a misunderstood villain who we later learned to empathize with.
Okay.
And that takes me back to a film from 2001 that these days is most associated with the band Smash Mouth.
Shrek is from 2001?
Shrek is from 2001. It is a 23 or 24-year-old film.
Is Shrek most associated with Smash Mouth? I immediately knew it, so I guess so.
Yeah. Nothing else I was saying about green-skinned, misunderstood, misanthropic villains, anti-heroes, was getting to you. But the minute I said Smash Mouth, boom, boom.
I knew it. Somebody once told me.
I think you mean somebody once told you.
I gotta say, I want to defend. I think All Star is a little, it's obviously an overplayed song. It was when it came out. It is now somehow
it was
still.
On the Mystery Men soundtrack.
Oh, that's a movie.
I said soundtrack, by the way, which is a mistake because the movie is Shrek.
It rhymes with Shrek. Soundtrack.
Missed opportunity. DreamWorks marketing team.
I don't know who wrote All Star, the song All Star. We'll look it up. We'll find out. But
definitely, we will be doing that.
Good lines in that song.
I have a good line from All Star.
Go on.
This guy asks him for some. Can he spare some change for gas?
That's what I was going to say. Can you spare some change for gas? I gotta get myself away from this place.
Right. And he says,
"Yep.
What a concept. I could use a little fuel myself." And DJ, here. Well, now wait for it.
We're saying this like everybody isn't already like just yelling the words at
just like, we know. Just slowing it down doesn't make it funny inherently. But DJ,
we're hoping
that's neither here nor there, because what I wanted to say was that we could all of us, humanity in a way, use a little shame.
So, are we going to watch the original version with who was the original voice? I totally messed up this bit. Because Mike Myers famously like changed the accent. That's what it was. He changed.
Mike Myers, I think, changed
Scottish accent.
It went through 3 iterations because they originally had recorded, I think, most of it with Chris Farley, who died during production.
That's right.
Mike Myers re-recorded it sans Scottish brogue, and then decided in a very Mike Myers way that, wait, I decided I wanted to do this other thing. Let's redo the entire audio track for my character.
Yeah. And they had to like re-record it or something. I just feel like Mike Myers gets a bad rap, and that could have, I don't know how it was done. Maybe it was done in a real dickish way, but like he was, it's with how it's like he was right, about some of these things. So you're kind of like, but it's easy to say that in retrospect, right? Because like, would it have been fun? Would it have been successful if Chris Farley had lived in to finish it? It would have been successful if he had done like whatever accent he did or whatever voice he did the first time.
I can guarantee you Chris Farley did his regular voice.
Well, Chris Farley.
And sometimes he talked really slow and sometimes he screamed. I can guarantee you Chris Farley did that.
We could just
comical effect.
Maybe Chris Farley would have led the revolution that now Chris Pratt is leading, where you just are yourself. And you get
just
every
yourself,
voice acting.
Sometimes have a Brooklyn accent, and sometimes you're also Garfield. So here's the thing. I think this movie, my prediction is that this movie will be a lot like Aladdin in that we will enjoy it, but also be reminded of a precedent that is set for animated movies that come after it.
Like is it the anachronistic needle drops?
The needle drops, the references to like modern things, parody stuff, Matrix references. I remember there's some of that in this movie. I feel like there's a lot of this attitude that DreamWorks had at the time, which is like, we're different than Disney. Watch this. We'll reference the Matrix, and we'll have someone say "damn" once in a while, and insinuate that a donkey inseminated a dragon.
Okay, I think that's not this movie. But I
mean the dragon falls for a donkey in this.
Is this in this movie? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember the Shrek universe.
Mm-hmm.
So
I've only seen two and a third Shreks. I've seen the first 2, and then I saw one of the latter 2 Shreks in a doctor's office waiting room while Tyler was getting a checkup for something.
Okay.
So,
how'd you like it?
The sound was off, which I liked. I said I saw them. I didn't say I heard 2 and a third.
That is true. You absolutely did say that.
This one had Shrek.
What's the
birthday cake?
What?
The one I saw in a waiting room had Shrek blowing out the candles on a birthday cake. I realized I left out the word candle, so it just sounded like he was blowing out a cake. But I feel like you could have pieced that together.
I was talking over you. That's the main reason I didn't hear you. So this one though,
it's a podcast. We've been doing it for years. Why do you ask?
Shut up, Greg.
God,
he's here now.
Terrible.
He's here in this recording. So I think Eddie Murphy. This is not Eddie Murphy's first voiceover role because there was Mulan.
Oh right, he was Mushu,
which I have never seen, by the way.
Mulan.
Yeah.
Oh, you haven't? I should have picked that.
Do you want to just move to Mulan for pretend we've been talking?
I do have a good Mulan story, but I'll save it when we do Mulan.
Okay. But I do remember liking Eddie Murphy a lot in this. I feel like Shrek the character is not particularly funny, but I think it's okay. Like I remember liking this movie, but he's kind of grumpy, but he's like he doesn't really have. Maybe if I were a little child when this came out, I would have appreciated, he blows stink bubbles in the swamp bath.
Oh, yeah.
Because he farts.
He's gross.
Farts are funny.
The funny thing about the Shrek cinematic universe is that I remember seeing Shrek. I remember seeing Shrek 2 and really enjoying Shrek 2.
Yeah.
And then by the time Shrek 3 came out, like a spell had been broken. And I was like, no, absolutely not. No more Shreks. I'm done with Shrek. Like, I wouldn't even give it the time of day. I was not interested in seeing. I think the minute I saw a trailer for Shrek 3, I was like, get fucked, movie series I've enjoyed up to this point.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like, I don't know what contributed to that, but maybe it was just the ethos of Shrek had permeated animated, non-Disney animated, and even some Disney movies at that point where I was like, I don't want any more of this.
That happened to me.
No more snarky cartoons, please.
It happened to me too with Kung Fu Panda, also from the DreamWorks universe.
Yeah.
I saw the first one. I loved the first one. And then I can't remember if it was the second one or the third one where it came out and it was like, we're doing this. We're doing this again. What the fuck's wrong with you? And I think some of it is the sort of, it might be, I don't remember. Like that's part of it is that like it becomes so pervasive, but also I think it has a lot to do with when we saw them in terms of our age. Like 2001, we were in college. We were like you and I we were college age when it was.
I like that you said you and I were, not the entire population of the earth.
We
people have they actually stagger the births now.
Yeah. Well, that one child policy has some drawbacks. I'll tell you that. So that doesn't even make sense.
We're all you're all having one kid and you're all having him right now.
Right now. I thought it was a good joke. And then as I thought about my own joke, I was like, that's not even a good joke.
Like very weird dictatorship you guys are running.
But I think, it was cool enough to like go see, a DreamWorks cartoon at that age. But then you start to be like, this isn't for me anymore. And maybe it never was, but like it kind of hit at the right time. And so I think it's both, because I think it can be true that when things hit you are very important. And obviously that's the whole point of this podcast, but also just the fact that
thesis statement,
it kind of ruined animated movies, but definitely made some like paradigm shifts.
I think it also, it came out at a really nice, a perfect time for them in that Disney, I think, was sort of sliding down. I don't think their movies were bad by any means. Their animated movies, I mean.
Yeah.
But they were sort of, they had come down from the Lion King high. And
we were moving to Pixar by this point.
Right. Pixar was coming out and sort of eating their own lunch somehow. And we were getting stuff like Hunchback of Notre Dame. Again, I'm not saying these movies are bad, but they were not like this zeitgeist moment like Lion King or Aladdin or Beauty and the Beast, where Hunchback, Hercules, and so Shrek came in and not only was a different type of animated movie and was like in this new animation style that Pixar had really pushed into the mainstream. But it also was run by Jeffrey Katzenberg, who had been fired from Disney and resented them. And so there was a lot of Disney like shit talking, like subtext in this movie. I remember whoever the villain, I don't remember his name, but I know he's played by John. Oh, right, Farquaad, played by John Lithgow. His kingdom is very designed after like the Magic Kingdom in Disney World. There's even a Small World reference, I think, in that kingdom. So there was a lot of like digging at Disney. I think in my like hipstery college mind, I was like, yeah, give them hell. Yeah. DreamWorks SKG or whatever the hell it's called. But I think that wore out its welcome real quick once everyone started doing that.
Stands for, of course, Spielberg, Katzenberg, and Guetta for David Guetta. I don't know.
3 luminaries in their field.
I really liked my own joke there. I also realized that the Disney Pixar merger, I just looked it up, happened in 2006. So
yeah, they did go hand in hand, but
they were like
official. It wasn't
distributed.
Official.
Yeah, so that was a less official. It was complicated.
It wasn't
their
like
Facebook status, which would have been
But the vibe was like Pixar is making really fantastic movies, and they were at that time making really fantastic movies, and Disney movies were kind of like losing out to their own like little brother. Little Rudiger.
I also want to acknowledge that Shrek is like very big in meme culture in a way that is confusing to me. And this
makes me feel even older because I'm like, no, I know what Shrek is. Shrek isn't this, right?
Yeah. And it feels like a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. Like, I don't know what we're talking about anymore. And it makes me want to crumble to dust. Like, I am just the oldest man that's ever looked at a meme and been like, what the fuck does this mean? One of my favorite things on Reddit is the, like, explain this joke thing. And I gotta say, it's about 50-50 for me.
I do like that, and I also like know your meme, which helps me a lot.
Yeah.
When people are referencing memes, I'm like, I definitely know that. I definitely know the meme you're talking about. Just ignore this frantic typing off to my right.
It's like it's like walking in at the end of a conversation or the third act of a Seinfeld episode. Like, I saw the beginning, like, I know how this started, but I missed a lot in between, and I don't know what we're talking about anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I follow a few Simpsons meme accounts, and it's so Ouroboros at this point that, like, if I tried to explain it to Tyler, he would put me down. He would take me to the vet and have me put down, because it's so insane to have to explain.
You see this man here, my partner? I want an abortion of him.
Do you do postnatal abortions? He's 43. Why?
43 years hence.
I can calculate the months if you want.
Watch Shrek along with us, won't you?
Shrek 2001.
2001. The first. Shrek the first.
Shrek the first, as it's known in DVD collections, I assume. Just like they changed the name of Raiders of the Lost Ark to Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. As if we didn't know what the fuck it was. I'm not familiar with this one, but he looks a lot like that Indiana Jones fella. Now I'm just talking about whatever I want to talk about.
Watch Shrek. We'll be right back. Humor podcast.
Humor with a U. Because, Mike Myers went back and changed the entire accent. And they made them have to re-record everything. So, in this case, humor would initially be spelled with just O-R, and then we'd go back and re-record it to make sure it had an O-U-R at the end.
Damon, do you mind if I talk to you and the listeners about our Patreon page?
I do mind, but I'm going to pretend I don't mind because
for the purpose of this commercial, do you mind? We're not like just like Shrek. We're not your normal podcasts. We do things a little differently. We do things Tapas style, where we'll just bring them to the table. So, like, we're a podcast that we're not afraid to roll around in the mud. We're not afraid to talk about burps. We won't usually burp into the mic, or at least we'll make Rob edit it out if we do.
Or else try desperately not to burp into the mic to the point where it's like, if you just burp into the mic, this would be a lot easier to edit around.
We'd have moved on 13 minutes ago. We're not afraid to talk about farts.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to talk about poops.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want more of that, if you want to support that, patreon.com/yourchild is an idiot. I think Disney's scared of us, just like they were scared of Shrek,
Big time.
We might, in our cruelest times, lambast them. And nobody wants to be.
I'd hate to be on the receiving end of that, Disney Corp.
Of a lambast. Is it lamb-based? If you said
lamb-based, I was lamb-based, but it is lamb-based. I looked it up, and I think it is correct.
I don't like that.
Even though that sounds like an idiot trying to say lamb-based.
Yeah, I don't like that because it makes me think of basting.
Oh, yeah, and you're basting a lamb.
Yeah.
The most innocent of all meats to eat.
Yeah. Patreon.com/yourchild is an idiot. Some of my worst work.
Luckily, I was there to not help.
I workshopped that one for hours, and that's as good as I could get it.
Who were the other participants in the workshop?
I shaped it like clay.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to think of a famous sculptor who might have used clay. But
you thought of a guy Clay.
Yeah, Clay the sculptor.
They liked him so much they named the material after him.
I'm a sculptor. What's your name? clay. That's like when you are on a first date and you don't want to tell anyone about what you do. That seems like a thing you would have done.
Wait, am I working backwards? Am I not wanting to tell her my name, or am I not wanting to tell him? Could be either.
Yeah.
My job, because it sounds like I am a sculptor, and I didn't want to give them my name. But you're claiming that I didn't want to give them my occupation, so I just thought of my name first,
even though
worked backwards from there, and then said my name.
Which
for some reason in the date, I'm giving them my occupation first, and they still don't know my name. They don't know how to address me.
They're like, "Hi, my name's Reggie," and you're like, "I'm a sculptor. My name's Clay." Well, now I know either or both of those are not true.
There's no way you could be called that and have that be your job.
So anyway, Shrek, we watched it. Why don't you recap it for the fine folks?
Thank you.
And for me, because I forgot.
Shrek. It's a story about an ogre with a fully functional gastrointestinal system.
Mm-hmm.
He uses books to wipe his anus after he is defecated. He makes candles out of his own ear horn wax. He likes being alone. He likes scaring people. He likes brushing his teeth with like slug innards. He likes showering in mud slides. But what he doesn't realize is that in the nearby or possibly same kingdom as him, it was kind of vague, in Duloc, Lord Farquaad has seized power, and he is getting rid of all the fantastical animals. That includes 7 to 10 dwarves. That includes blind mice. That includes 3 pigs with real estate under their belt and construction. It also includes talking donkeys. Remember that one? Put a pin in it. Pin the tail on the donkey, because we're going to come back to that. So Farquaad's getting rid of all these beasts, and Donkey he is later known. I was originally called Man.
His last name.
That's similar.
Yeah.
He escapes from being taken away, and he finds Shrek's swamp and annoys him into letting him stay there outside. But then the rest of the fantastical beasts come to the swamp too, and Shrek, as I aforementioned...
He doesn't like that.
I aforementioned it. He doesn't like company, so he says, I want you all to get out of here, and in order to get rid of you, I'm going to go to see Lord Farquaad and tell him to get rid of you and give me my swamp bank back. Seems like a roundabout way, but it gets the plot in motion.
Yeah.
And that's what he does. He takes Donkey, because Donkey knows where Farquaad's castle is. They get there. There's a tournament, because actually Farquaad, unrelated, is trying to find knights to go kill a dragon so he can marry a princess so that he can become rightfully king. And this princess, Fiona, is kept in a tower guarded by a dragon. He has all these knights doing a tournament. Shrek interrupts that. He slaughters all the knights, presumably, kills them, bloodbath, bones broken.
It's really more of a professional wrestling match, but yeah.
And Farquaad sort of makes a deal with him and says, I'll give you your swamp if you go kill this dragon for me and rescue Princess Fiona so I can marry her. And Shrek and Donkey, naturally, having been given a quest by a character with a red exclamation point above his head, they go on the quest. And so they do that. We find out that Shreks or ogres are a lot like onions and that they have layers. Donkey prefers parfaits. They also have layers.
Yeah.
You know, it's a will they, won't they type thing for Shrek and Donkey. Will they ever fuck? We don't ever know. They eventually get to the castle.
In my fan fiction, yes.
Even the internet didn't want it. They actually rejected it and removed it. One of the few times that something was fully removed from the internet.
I couldn't even self-publish it. Couldn't get it done. The printer refused to print.
The printer's like, absolutely not. This is not a malfunctioning thing. You're not out of cyan.
I was going to say, I'm full of magenta. I'm not doing this.
So they get to the castle and they encounter the dragon. The dragon turns out to be a she-dragon and falls in love with Donkey. And that sort of prevents them from being roasted. Shrek gets accidentally catapulted in through the ceiling of Fiona's thing. They rescue her. They slaughter no, they don't slaughter the dragon. They trap the dragon so that they don't get killed.
Mm-hmm.
The dragon makes out a much melancholic roar as they leave because her love donkey is leaving. Put a pin in that. And then they're walking with Fiona for a while. Oh my God, this is too long. Fiona keeps disappearing. She keeps wanting to shelter at night. She doesn't want to keep walking at night. Mysterious.
I think
Who
we
knows
might.
Why I would even bring it up.
You know what we need to do with that? We need to put another pin in that.
Oh yeah, you're gonna want to put. This whole thing is just full of little holes. Anyway, they are just about to get to Farquaad's castle, and the sun is going down. She's like, no, I gotta stay here in this windmill instead of heading the next, 40 yards to get to the castle. Shrek.
Very Shrek-esque, my friend.
Turns out Donkey finds out, but Shrek does not find out that Fiona has a curse on her that at night she turns into a very ogre-looking being. But she tells Donkey to keep it a secret. But then Shrek overhears them speaking in a very specific style of speaking where they don't use first-person pronouns. They just keep talking in the third person so that when she says, "Who could love a hideous beast?" Shrek thinks she's talking about him because he's fallen for her, and it's obvious that she's fallen for him. But he doesn't know about the curse, and he takes it personally, and he just goes gets Lord Farquaad. Farquaad comes, gets Fiona. Fiona's mad at Shrek because he's being such a dick now, and they are going to get married that very evening. And then Shrek realizes he's being a jerk, and Donkey reunites with the dragon somehow, and they use the dragon to interrupt the wedding, eat Farquaad because he's short, and then Shrek and Fiona get together. She reveals her true form, which was the ogre form. What? Wow. And they kiss, and then, unfortunately, the monkeys do not play. Smash Mouth plays, covering the monkeys.
Well, and then
Aiden Murphy covers Smash Mouth, covers the monkeys.
Yeah. Well,
that was more long than necessary, but that's Shrek. That's Shrek in a nutshell. There's also a lot of little characters that pop in and out, and I cut them out. So I was really trying to keep it at a short.
Yeah, real brisk recap there. This is very even from the very beginning. I was referencing this isn't your grandma's fairy tale.
Yeah, this is not even my mother's fairy tale. This is my generation's fairy tales, where we reference things that are happening right now, like the Matrix and the Macarena. I kept thinking, Riverdance. I was thinking a lot about Robin Williams' Genie throughout this, because we sort of hinted that was also like sort of a watershed moment in animation where it's like, oh, we can just reference whatever. We don't have to, keep this period specific references. We can just do Arsenio Hall now. Okay. And this movie sort of dives even more into that. There's a lot of little references. The town of Duloc is obviously a sort of ribbing at Disney World and Disneyland. Farquaad's short, and we can say that. We can also maybe allude to the fact that he is masturbating. We can also what else? There's a lot of like stuff where I'm like, I don't know, guys. Oh, there's cursing. Tyler kept complaining. He's like, they keep saying damn in this movie. They had the cover of that Joan Jett song. Yeah. I don't give a damn. And Tyler was offended by that. And then at one point, Donkey just says damn.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ass jokes because ass is another word for donkey.
Yeah.
And no
one likes a kiss ass. Was one.
Right, exactly. And I've got to save my ass. That was one that Shrek said. Yeah, there is a lot of like, we do things our own way.
Yeah.
And it just it's hard to not take it out on this film because there's just a whole slew of animated films of lesser quality that come after this that really dive really into that sort of shit and sort of tainted the entire well. I think of like terrible movies like Hoodwinked and Happily Never After, I believe was one that had Andy Dick as a voice character. Absolutely terrible movies that really sort of dove into this Shrek, like twisted fairy tale shit.
it's like it's a contextual conversation. It's much like philosophy, right? Like if you you can't read Plato without having read Socrates. You gotta like it's a conversation that goes on because at first you have these tropes that develop, and obviously fairy tales are some of the oldest retelling stories that we have, and I don't know if that's true, but they're very like they
are old.
They set the tropes, and then you have this sort of rejection of the tropes where like we just want to reset expectations. So that's where this comes in, where you're like, okay, we're gonna do needle drops of like modern songs, like songs that you wouldn't expect to be. There's not the scoring or like the soaring, very like magical, like Disney-esque kind of thing.
No Tim Rice in this place, motherfuckers.
Yeah, and then we're making fun of Disney, and so we're poking fun at current things, at contextual things, at current when this movie came out in 2001, and then Disney kind of represents this thing, this like both in the storytelling way of this like kind of re-picturing these like old fairy tales and kind of bring them into the new era, but then also like the corporate juggernaut that it is, and like this is even before it got even bigger with the mergers and stuff. But then now, like if you take Shrek, sort of was part of a wave of that, of like, yeah, we don't do that, we're making fun of that. But then there's a rejection of that where you're like, it's almost like when you make jokes making fun of yourself as a defense mechanism so that other people can't make fun of you. Which I don't know who would do that. I certainly don't have that.
Not I.
And so then it becomes like this sort of cycle of like, like it's not cool to be so self-referential. It's a different kind of cringe, then it's like,
it gives us the ick.
It gives us the ick. And now anyone who's younger than us is like, now that you said that, I can't say that anymore because it's not cool.
Right, exactly. Because I ruined it with my agedness. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, what are some examples though of like someone rejecting Shrek? What is the rejection of Shrek? In movies, or do you just mean in culture?
I just mean in culture, like you and me sort of making fun of it, because it gets old, like using the restaurant example of being like, we do things. Have you all been here before? No, but it's a restaurant. I order food and you give it to me. Like we don't need a thing, right?
Yeah, but we do small plates, so you don't know how much you're ordering.
Right. And we make more money this way. That's the main thing. But I think maybe, and maybe maybe it's not as much of a cultural force, but I do think there's like it makes straight storytelling, like a more earnest storytelling, kind of refreshing at some point.
Yeah.
Because it's not always like self-referential, but then after a while,
it's not always cutting itself off at that.
Yeah.
Place.
And then if you do that for too long, then people are like, okay, well now it's predictable because I know that everything's the same. And so I don't know.
Not to mention, if you make 3 more of these fucking things, I really start to get annoyed, and I'm like, how many more Shreks could we possibly have?
Well, you can't keep doing that because it naturally becomes the thing you're making fun of to some extent. Having said,
go see Shrek the musical on Broadway.
I would and have no.
I do think also it's interesting that I feel like, even though Disney may have started this trend with Robin Williams in Aladdin, I feel like they didn't sort of take the bait as much as you might have expected. I don't think they fell for their at least traditionally animated stuff stayed pretty earnest and by the sort of Disney.
Well, they completely abandoned
numbers.
Traditionally animated stuff.
Well, true. Maybe that's not the word I should look. But their feature films, their animated films, still stayed in the sort of straight-laced,
the
fairy tale-ish realm. And Pixar may have done a little bit more. Although now that I think about it, there was stuff like Chicken Little and Meet the Robinsons. Like Disney did get away from that. Not that that's Shrekky per se, but they got away from the fairy tale stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, once Pixar came along, Pixar was like, we can be fun and revolutionary and also still earnest about our own feelings in an effective way. And we're like, oh yeah, I still prefer this. Sorry, Shrek. Bye, Shrek.
Wow.
Sorry.
Well, you have your verdict. Jeez. I think it's a matter of taste for sure, but also it's a matter of like in doses. It's very effective.
Yes.
Like the bit with the Muffin Man, that was funny. Like where so Farquaad is torturing a gingerbread man. He's like pulled off his legs, and then they quote the Muffin Man. He's like, "Do you know the Muffin Man? The Muffin Man." And it goes back and forth, and I'm like, that's funny as hell. And then, like, when it's unexpected, like we've seen this for 20 years now, the sort of like, because Shrek, in addition to 4 Shrek movies, there's also like a wave of things kind of in this ilk. And so it's not as funny when you see Princess Fiona singing to a bird and then it bursts into feathers. Whereas the first time you see that, that's pretty funny. It's because it's very, very unexpected. But it is like, I also think this is more. I think I realize why I was never like a big Shrek guy, and it's because it's like, it came out when I was too old. Like,
right, you were in college.
It's for like, a 12-year-old. It's not for a 6-year-old, but it's still for kids. Where it's like he farted, which is funny objectively.
Everyone loves farting. Dante Alighieri loved farting. Yeah, I mean, I see what you mean. I'm trying not to pick on it too much because I specifically want to I like looking at it in context, but it is hard to ignore that they just kept making these goddamn things and there were so many more of this ilk. I mean, I was looking up just DreamWorks animation in general, and they are maybe the most hit and miss of all the animation houses. I really mean that. Like, it feels like they're batting 50-50. They have some stuff that I haven't seen, but I hear is really good, like How to Train Your Dragon. And then they'll have, what was some of the other, like Prince of Egypt was another good one they had. And then Wild Robot they had this year, which is supposed to be fantastic. And now I can't remember some of the absolute, no, hold on.
I want to talk about Wild Robot for a second. So,
please.
I won't go into it too much because it's a recent movie and I don't want to spoil because this is not a Wild Robot podcast. Okay. We did see Wild Robot and I know people love it and I don't want to spend too much time like talking about the actual plot, but it was like, when it like hit all the beats and it's like pushing the emotion button, like you can feel the manipulation kind of. It was one of those where it was like
a not so wild robot.
Well, and like it's like kind of from a book of cliches. But with, like the animation was beautiful and it did have moments like it worked, but it also felt like you could see the seams a little bit to me. And that makes something just like I could have waited for that to
You're
come
the first person I've heard say speak ill of Wild Robot.
Well, and I hope you get to see it and I hope you love it. It's definitely going to make you cry because
I cry. I mean,
a hamburger commercial can make you cry.
Yeah, so cat litter commercial. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to look at this in context, but that's also not our podcast is looking things in context. It's specifically not looking at things in context. And I was a little bit more stony-faced at Shrek than I expected to be, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I got enough laughs that I'm like, I wouldn't, I wasn't
kick it out of bed.
Yeah, I wasn't mad. But first of all, why are we like, as a short king? I thought we stand a short king.
No, this was before we were able to stand for a short king. We hate short people.
Oh.
I was a little annoyed at that as a fellow short king.
Because
short baron.
He's
maybe.
A dickhead.
He is a dickhead, but they really the only thing they ever make fun of him for is that he is short. And like he's also a fascist and obsessed with order, but the movie doesn't really go into how obsessed with order he is. Yeah. It's sort of implied if you're paying attention, but the movie only gives a shit that he is short.
That's like the only thing they make fun of him for.
People are short, movie. This is not a fantastical thing at all. People can be short.
People are short and have big old faces like he does too.
And Prince Valiant haircuts.
Yeah. Do we get an explanation other than he's fascist for like him rounding up fairy tale creatures?
He just deserves to die. That's all we know.
Oh yeah, I mean, fascists
should be eaten by a dragon.
And I know this is a time when I'm not allowed to say this anymore, but fascism is bad, and I stand by that.
Hero alert.
Yeah.
I was bothered by, I guess I was stunned by how much they really lean into the shortness. The other thing I kept thinking of, I don't know how much you're aware of the career of Jeffrey Katzenberg, our executive producer here. I can't remember if he got fired from Disney or if he left Disney. I want to say he left Disney, just because that seems like the least thing he can get pulled up for libel on. And Supposedly he was involved in the original. The thing I know most about him is that he was involved in the first stages of Toy Story when they were still crafting the story for Toy Story, which is a hard sentence to say.
Toy Story.
The story of Toy Story. And he apparently in the original draft, he really wanted Woody to be an asshole. He wanted Woody not to just not like Buzz or feel, insecure about Buzz. He wanted Woody to actively bully Buzz Lightyear. And I kept thinking about that with Shrek and Donkey, and that Shrek seems overly mean to Donkey, and Donkey seems way too annoying. And I was like, who am I supposed to like here? Like, there are multiple instances of Shrek telling Donkey to shut up, which, by the way, if I told my brother to shut up, Mom got real mad at me. I was not allowed to say shut up willy-nilly.
No, we were only allowed to say it to the dog. Which I'm like, I don't think the dog cared, so I think that part's fine, but I'm also like, why don't you just not allow us to say it at all?
You can, if you want to say it to your brother, say it to your dog. And I kept thinking about just how mean-spirited their relationship is.
Sorry. It's okay, it's a dog.
It's fine to kill dogs.
Encouraged. In fact, people like that more than if you kill a person.
I look up to see if a dog is killed in a movie, and then I go see that movie. Yeah, their relationship is very antisocial in a way that felt of the time that would not probably pass muster in a movie nowadays, where they just seem to really dislike each other, and then all of a sudden they do like each other, not for any external reason or anything that happens in the story, but just because this is the point in the story where they would like each other now. Yeah.
I don't know. I think that they do some lip service to the emotional growth. I don't think it's super deep, but Donkey is like annoying, but he's honest with Shrek, and then Shrek is sort of has built a wall around his heart because he's hurt by the way people treat him because he's a big ogre. But then over time, he tells Donkey that, and that's their sort of watershed moment of they break through the wall at that point. And I feel like that's enough for a cartoon, a buddy comedy. Like they give me enough.
I guess their acrimony between each other was striking me so often in this movie. Yeah. I'm like, why would he take Donkey on this adventure if he hates Donkey so much? It's like, well, the story, he has to go with him because that's what the story would do.
Buddy road trip.
Right, exactly. So that's what he would do. I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. I also think there may be a contender to knock Ernest Robin Williams out of his throne. And it might be Ernest Mike Myers.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, that's definitely worse. Like,
definitely worse.
Yeah. As far as acting skill.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I just kept, every time that there were lots of instances where I just felt like the voice acting, while the Scottish brogue is a nice touch, the actual acting behind it felt kind of flat from Mike Myers. Eddie Murphy does a great job in this. Yeah. And I also like John Lithgow in this.
Yes.
But Mike Myers, for all the re-recording he made everyone do, I don't think I liked him.
I think Lithgow might be my MVP because he made me laugh more, I think, than anyone else. And I think part of that is not fair, but because it's like I've seen this enough times that I kind of forgot his funny lines, and I remembered most of Eddie Murphy's funny lines. And I feel like Donkey has most of the funny lines.
Yes,
and that makes sense. He's the comedy relief. He's the comic relief. That's the word. But Lithgow gets. It's just the way. It's more delivery than the actual things he says. But
I did like. I think he's really having fun with the part. I do wish there was just a little bit more about Farquaad. I mean, I know he's sort of a fascist, but they don't really go into, because the whole story is taking place on the far fringes of this kingdom.
Yeah,
we never really see what's going on, and it seems like the people of the kingdom are totally fine with getting rid of these fantastical beasties. I'm not saying that's okay. In fact, it's prescient that they would get rid of citizens of their own country because they've been told that they're evil. But where was I going? Just
sorry,
I got reminded of current events.
Sorry, can I just...
By the way, we're still before the Trump administration has started on this end of the podcast, so we don't even know. Maybe Trump's like, hey, you know what? All those things I said? JK.
We're just going to take just another quick second to stare into the middle distance, and then we'll continue the podcast. It really is like, you can't marry him. He's short. It was like really...
Yeah.
It was like, I mean, as far as like compatibility, I mean, it's cool to be honest with what you're attracted to, and if she doesn't like a short guy, I think that's fine. But it's like, I mean, there are better reasons than that.
I would push her to examine maybe why she feels like she can be with a short guy. Maybe it is just a true, this is my preference, or maybe it's society has taught you that short guys are effeminate in some way. Or can't provide or protect for you.
Yeah, or maybe, they're a lesser person, and I don't think that's necessarily...
Well, they are. I mean, mathematically, they are a lesser
person. As far as height. Can we fast forward just a second? We can come back, but I just want to talk about... We can
keep trashing on short people. Just a minute. Yeah, go ahead.
Let's just stay on this for a while. Fiona so her natural form is an ogre? Is that I know we go into it. I think with the other movies go into it more.
The next movie, we meet her parents who are human.
Right. But we don't know that in this movie.
Julie Andrews, normal-looking people. Not normal-looking, humanoid, human-looking folks.
I thought that this was a safe space.
Ogre, positive environment.
But so let's take that out of it because we have not seen that. We don't have that context. So but that's the impression I get at the end of the movie. And I think that's what is clanking around in my empty brain is like, aren't her parents human? Because the way it ends is you'll find your, I don't know what the actual, I can't remember.
Right. And she is disgusted by her ogre form, not her human form.
Right.
But she also exhibits ogre-like, or at least Shrek-like behavior.
Yeah.
In her human form. She also likes belching, which humans do not have the lung capacity to do.
No.
She likes blowing up innocent animals that are just, standing there.
They both love animal abuse.
Like balloons, and then letting them float off into the atmosphere where they will die. She likes, what else does she like? She does something else that's weird.
I can't remember. She does a lot of.
She likes eating weed rats.
Yeah.
But yeah, the impression I get, even without the additional lore of the second movie, is that her natural form is her human form, but because she is in love with Shrek and he kissed her, not that he turned her into an ogre, but she took True Love's form, which was her ogre setup. Which her ogre setup, her ogre corporeal setup, and. Now, if I were Fiona, even if I had fallen in love with Shrek, if I believed my body to be a human body and I turned into an ogre when I made out with the man I love, I'd still be annoyed at the witch's curse because I still feel my body as a human body.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'd still be upset. We can still go to Pound Town as human and ogre. Presumably. I don't know what.
I mean, I don't know.
I don't know what. I don't know. Shrek's got down there.
Yeah.
Might have barbs like a bear, like an ursine penis. Might have barbs.
The duck, like a corkscrew?
Or
you don't know.
Yeah, you don't know. Or maybe he has no penis and he just releases his seed onto Fiona's eggs that she would lay and protect and guard over. And he would lay his seed over them. And then he has a pouch in his stomach that the little tadpoles.
We're gonna move on before.
Inside,
we're gonna move on before the word cloaca gets brought up again because it's already come up too many times in this podcast.
Oh, I really wanted to say it, but I can't spell it, so I can't say it. That's the rules we set up for this podcast.
That's the deal. Speaking of things I can't spell, Farquaad. Like one of my favorite bits, just to go to the hint of like the Disneyland-esque fortress. They come in to visit Farquaad, and it's like an empty Disney World, or Disneyland, Magic Kingdom, to be specific. And
please, I mean, it's certainly not Epcot Center. I'll tell you that. It's not MGM Studios.
They can't. They encounter a guy with a giant Farquaad head like mascot running on. That's my favorite
my
bit.
favorite visual gag.
And I think I'm going to have to give that the Sally Fields nomination, or Sally Fields single scene award, because he just gets scared of Shrek and runs away, but he's got this big head, and he running through the maze line, like you would have through a line, and then
the winding rope line that you before you get on a roller coaster,
and then knocks himself out because he hits his head on it. It's just
because he can't fit through the doorway.
Yeah.
That is funny. And later he does do limbo with the 7 dwarves at Shrek's wedding, and he
can't
falls
do it
over because his head.
You can't do it.
And it's like, you're not on the clock now, buddy.
You take that off. It's fine.
You can take it off.
No, there are children around. He can't do that. He's got to stay in character.
True. Yeah. He has to go in the underground tunnels under Duloc, and it has to be one of his union mandated breaks.
The help shan't be seen.
And then supposedly at Duloc at night, they release cats, and that's why they don't have a mouse prop.
Yeah.
I saw it on BuzzFeed. Wow.
Was that your cat?
No, it was my lover closing the door, which I decided to read in a passive-aggressive manner.
That's his face. He got like kind of a snarl when he...
I don't even think I saw his face. I just heard the door close, and it sounded like a door. Passive-aggressive.
He's still offended by the curse words in this.
He's like, I just don't think the donkey should say damn. I want to talk about our favorite donkey quotes, because Donkey is also my favorite character. And I might actually, even though it's an easy get, I might push back on Farquaad and say that Donkey is my Catherine O'Hara, just because Farquaad does have some funny scenes, but he's almost an afterthought in this. He's
not in it a lot. I think I just I have trouble doing that because it's very obvious, but sometimes,
you know what? I will allow it. I will allow Farquaad.
I think
I'll vote for Farquaad.
It's
Is that what
unexpected impact.
I'm just concerned about the economy, so I'll just vote for Farquaad. Yes, I am concerned that he has authoritarian tendencies, but I just want to try my chances.
Just hold your nose and vote for him. What's the worst that could happen?
Guess we'll find out.
Yeah. Sorry, you were talking about Eddie Murphy. You were talking about Donkey.
You texted this to me, and I had just seen it mere 20 minutes earlier from you texting. But this is actually a quote that still lives in my head, which is, "You cut me deep, Shrek. You cut me real deep."
Yeah, you cut me real deep just now. I really like that.
And that's funny, and I like that boulder. That is a nice boulder. When he accidentally slammed Shrek's swamp, he tries to find something nice to say, like Liz Lemon complimenting the lighting at Jenna's regional theater play.
Someone said that, and it just rang like when we watched this movie, because I did not register the quote. It was funny. It's funny out of context, even if you don't know it's a quote. But then now I'm like, oh, they were quoting Shrek. That's fun. I do like this is not Donkey, but just while we're doing quotes,
please. When
I like the whole gingerbread torture scene, but when he says, "Eat me," and spits in
it ain't your grandma's fairy tale. You know what I mean?
It's very good.
I also laughed at because Donkey finds out that Fiona is has ogre presenting tendencies, and she says that she insists that he cannot tell Shrek, and he says, "What's the point of being able to talk if you got to keep secrets?"
My favorite Donkey moments are honestly singing, because when he's encouraging Shrek to go break up the wedding, he starts quoting Otis Redding, "Try a little tenderness." He's like, "Squeeze her, geez, never leave her." And it's very funny. And then, of course, at the end, in the credits, we get what begins as Smash Mouth's cover of "I'm a Believer," but then becomes Eddie Murphy's Smash Mouth's Monkeys' "I'm a Believer," and it becomes this gospel style thing. And he's like, "I believe, I believe, I believe." And I was like, man, that's pretty great. Also, he's a great singer.
Thing. Yeah. He does a leg thing, which I couldn't remember who that is.
Like Angus Young from...
Oh, yeah.
Or T-Bone Walker or Chuck Berry, but it's a classic guitar player.
Who play guitar.
Yeah. But he does
tired, and you gotta just lift one leg sort of on it and rest it on its heel and sort of hop along the stage.
This is a thing I wanted to touch on too, because I think the animation of Donkey is incredible. Like his character design,
cat-like.
Well,
don't you think, or dog-like almost?
I think he's he's like a cuddly donkey. Like I think they did a good job of making it. It's accurate enough that it's like very, because like when he lays on his stomach, he like can't he can't let his legs rest to the side because they're just, his hooves are just sort of standing up there, and it's very, very charming. And then just like he's got a very exaggerated, donkey face. I think it's great. I think that the animation for what it is. So this is 6 years after Toy Story, but they're also like, one of the things that was when you see the original Toy Story is when they do humans, and you're like, ooh, that's where it kind of goes off the rails a little bit. But on this one, the humans are all cartoon enough that I feel like it's better. I wouldn't say it's like flawless, but it's not quite Polar Express. Like it's like or
true. I will say, it's been a while since I've seen the original Toy Story, so I'm trying to remember how. I remember that Andy looks terrifying, but I can't remember how terrifying. I want to say, though, I hated all the humans, except for Farquaad.
Wow.
I hated all the humans. They all just kind of look generic.
It's real Martian talk there.
Even like they all have the same skin tone, and I mean that both racially and that just like there is no variety in their whiteness. They are all the same, like, hexadecimal code for their skin tone. They all have sort of the same generic look, and sometimes it's just like, oh, well, this guy's going to be an old elderly bishop. He'll have the exact same body type. We'll just add wrinkles around his eyes, and like he still has like a really taut jawline. You don't want to adjust that at all. He's just going to have the exact same body type as everyone else. Great. And it wouldn't bother me so much, except we also have Fiona as a character who is in her humanoid form in this. And she looks the best of all the humans, thank God. But there's something amiss.
And it's the mouth more than anything else.
The mouth, when she sings that, like that scene where she has that sort of Disney princess parody scene where she sings and the bird explodes. That a lot of people scream in this movie, and she screams that scene, and because people are screaming at Shrek and they find him disgusting, and whenever they scream, their mouths open, but nothing else in their face reacts to the fact that they are screaming. No, you are too expressive already. Like just the mouth opens, everything else is normal. It's really uncanny, to use a very specific adjective. I don't like it. So it might have been a little early for humans.
We still don't have that down. Every time that they're like, that actor's dead, that's actually not him, or like we aged down Ted Danson for this, and I'm like, it looks fucking awful, and I don't know who keeps telling you it doesn't, because
please stop doing this.
You all need a quirky gay best friend who can be like, girl, this is not working for you. Because
young Ted Danson, girl, no.
You're like, that actually wasn't a young Robert De Niro hobbling around. You're like, oh, really? Wasn't it?
Oh, that was the worst, because I'm like, he's supposed to be 30. He already looks 60.
Scorsese, you know better.
I don't know why we keep insisting. What else did I see recently that had a young...
I think we're just giving the AIs practice, because eventually it is going to look good, and we're not going to be able to tell the difference. And
and also like you reference, I mean, that was a reference to Man on the Inside, right? That first scene.
Yeah.
And they de-age him. Like, just hire someone or just shoot him from behind. I don't care. I know that Ted Danson is old. I know this.
It's the premise of the show, which, by the way, is great.
It's a good show.
I like it.
Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh, the terrible, ugly people in this movie.
Yeah.
Farquaad is good, but because he is more cartoonish, I think one of my general complaints about the style of this movie is that some of the things aren't there yet. Like Donkey, I think his design is really good, but it's also a few years before Monsters, Inc., when they really figured out fur, and he just sort of looks like clumps of fur just like pasted on his body parts, but they don't interact with each other like a normal donkey's hair would work. I also like eyebrow, like when they get real close to everyone, I'm like, you don't have to do this. They're like, look at all the individual eyebrow hairs on Shrek. I'm like, this isn't necessary. I think part of it, we were still at that stage of like, look at what we can do.
Yeah.
Rather than like actually coming up with a style to things. I noticed like when Donkey reunites with the dragon, their donkey is like drinking from a stream, and he notices the dragon is like upstream a little bit, also drinking from the stream. And I looked at the background is just like, it's hyper realistic stream. It looks great, but it's also like, you didn't want to do any stylistic attempt on this at all. Like, you didn't want to make this look like a fantasy universe. You wanted me to look at this and be like, wow, look at that really realistic stream. And I just think about, like, in the credits and at the opening sequence, there's like this medieval art that looks like, illuminated texts. And I think about, like, what if they had sort of leaned into that a little bit, or just chosen a stylistic direction for how the general animation would look? I mean, I think the character designs are mostly there, but if they had like tweaked it a little bit to have some real art direction, but I think that we were still in that stage of, look at this. Look, we can put the texture on his shirt. Yeah. His shirt looks like muslin. Look at that. You
wanted a cubist Shrek, is what you're saying.
I want to see all sides of Shrek, because the only thing you can't see in a painting is time passing. Wow. Picasso understood that. Yeah. He also understood being terrible to women.
Wow. Interesting. What do you think about all the music? So that's a very specific choice in this.
It felt very like cool at the time. I remember like
A Knight's Tale,
And now it just feels like it's just like that trend in the 90s finally made it to animation, where it's like, what if we just shoehorned a bunch of songs into Batman and Robin and have, a zillion artists on the soundtrack. Mm-hmm. It feels like that for this, where it's like, I guess you got the Proclaimers on here. Oh yeah, the Eels. You got the Eels, sure. And you have Rufus Wainwright on the album, but you have
John Cale.
John Cale on the in the movie. Okay, I guess. I mean, you guys got your own plan. It just feels really distracting.
I'll tell you, they're laughing all the way to the bank, Damon.
I can tell you that right now. It felt very much like a 90s like big summer blockbuster, where it's just throwing and they'll just play for like 20 seconds for this song.
Yeah. And it's part of the sort of like, it's kind of post-ironic, now where we're like, do we all really like Chili's? Is that what's happening? Like, I don't really know, because we were making fun of it, and then now we're like, it's kind of like a secret. I actually kind of like it. And then now we're like, no, it's cool.
No, we like it again. Well, you know what I think it is, not to get into our ages too much.
Yeah.
What's happening is that our generation got tired of Shrek, but now the generation coming up has the microphone, and they grew up on Shrek.
Yeah.
And so they're like, Shrek's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm like, I guess. Yeah, we're going to mod Breath of the Wild to have Shrek in it. And
get it?
Okay.
I really don't
get it.
I really don't get it, and that's okay. You know what? You can have that. I think that's the thing, is like, the best thing about being older is not that I'm cool, because I'm very obviously not, and certainly not to younger people. Never have been, even when I was younger. But I don't care. Like, I really don't. It's not fun to be made fun of by younger people, but at the same time, when I really think about it, I'm like, I'm not gonna win this, and I also really don't care. So, have your Shrek. Leave me alone. I just want to live in my swamp and poop in the mud pit at the same time that I'm taking. I assume. We don't know that for sure, but
I assume he pooped in the mud pit.
I mean, he's definitely farting.
I assume he smells like feces. Shrek, our hero.
Yes. Yeah, he has to.
Oh.
Shall we go to the verdict?
Yeah, I guess so. Oh, wait. One more quote. I love Duloc, by the way. Very clean. That was one of the few Shrek lines that got me to laugh. I love Duloc, by the way. Very clean. He says it at the wedding.
That made you laugh?
Yeah. Because it's just such a weird thing to say. That thing that, like, Mike Myers just gets random at times?
Yeah.
And he just seems like he's saying things so that we'll quote them later, not that they make any sense in context. It felt like one of those lines.
Okay.
You know what? I don't have to...
What is Duloc? Does that mean something? I don't think I'm getting that reference.
I couldn't figure out if it was just like we kind of want it to sound like Disney, but not. But it doesn't sound super like Disney. Maybe they just wanted it to have a D. but not sound explicitly like Disney World.
Yeah.
That would
'Cause
be
he
too
also
long
has, like-
nose for this subtle movie.
He also has like the F for Farquaad on it,
Mhm.
which looks distinctly like the Facebook F, but that was too soon for that. So,
Too soon.
yeah, let's go to the
Too
movie. Let's get
gothic.
Let's get out of here.
Let's get out of here. The section where we talk about the movie, and then we go to a different part of the room where we actually talk about the verdict.
We're here. Buddy comedy. We did it.
You hate me and I hate you, but we're going on this adventure together because the plot demands it.
I'm going first.
DJ.
Hi, I tricked you. I thought, okay. I didn't laugh a lot at this supposed comedy. And it's like, it's not just that I've seen it, because I've seen it, but I haven't seen it that recently where I like remember all the jokes. But I think it's just like I've seen its ilk. You know what I mean? I've seen this joke before, not specifically necessarily this joke, but I've seen this kind of joke. I think Eddie Murphy's charisma is enough to kind of shine through, especially in specific moments. I really liked Lithgow. And I think Mike Myers is fine. I think Shrek as a character is not that funny to me. Like, it's kind of funny that it's a little, irreverent or whatever, but it's just like, he's not like funny. And so that makes like the fact that the main character doesn't have a lot of laugh lines. It's like, you really need Eddie Murphy in this to be like a breath of fresh air, but also he's very annoying. So I think it's just over the line to Your Inner Child is not an idiot. I liked it just enough. I don't really have any desire to see this in. It's just like, I didn't hate it enough to crush, poor Gen Z's dreams of this being good. So I'll say it's fine. What'd you think?
I'm on the fence about this. I do really like the message of this movie. That anyone can be a hero, and maybe the people you've sort of shunned aside and judged on their green skin or general misanthropy.
Yeah,
that they can also be heroes and they're also worthy of love. I feel like there's a half-baked trans narrative that I could try and piece together, but I don't know if I have the. I hurt my back the other day. I don't know if I could try that.
I'm carrying a lot of weight.
Fiona is in a different body than maybe she's truly meant to be.
I think they could have built it in, but they didn't.
Right?
Yeah.
It also seems very convoluted. Like, wait, what? Which body does she want to be in?
Yeah.
Sorry, lady, you're an ogre now. And I mean, I wish Farquaad was a little bit more. I think John Lithgow brings a lot of personality into it. The movie, I feel like the movie just could have given us a little bit more of like, what is Farquaad's reign? Why is he so
What's his
terrible
fucking deal?
What's his fucking deal, aside from being 4'10"? But I think just for the sake of being difficult, I'm going to say Your Inner Child is an idiot. I think this is kind of like, I think there's a lot of positives to this movie. And as much as I keep saying, I want to look at this movie in context, that is not our podcast. We look at our movies out of context. And this bred a type of movie I fucking hated. And I find it, and not to mention, we still live in the Shrek universe. There was a Puss in Boots movie just the beginning of last year that actually was supposedly pretty good, according to the critics. Yeah. But that's neither here nor there. I'm just saying this is Shrek's world, and we're just living in it. So, I want to be difficult and say I expected this to remind me like, oh, why did they make 4 Shrek movies? Oh, right, because this was so much fun. Yeah. And I didn't have all that much fun in it. Yeah. So that's why I say the things I'm saying and still saying currently.
I feel like it is what the kids used to say, but now the kids would find cringe because the people my age are saying it. Mid. Kind of mid.
Oh, yeah. It's giving bland. Is that something kids would say? It's definitely not fire emoji. I can tell you that.
Yeah. It's definitely not weird Shrek meme that I don't understand. That I just
and you know what,
that just snaps
DJ?
To you.
I don't think it's groundbreaking to say this is not slay the boots down house mama or whatever the fuck I'm supposed to say. I'm gay and I don't even know what that one means. Like, you're just saying words. You're just saying nouns. There's not even a verb in here. What? Boots isn't a verb.
We speak the king's English here, okay? What do you think, everybody? Email us your idiot at gmail.com. Speaking of old shit, you can also text us or leave us a voicemail, 615-576-0525. We want to thank our patrons for supporting the show.
We do. Yeah, I'm not just filling time. I do want to thank our patrons.
Tell me more about how you want to thank the patrons. What does that mean to you?
I think we should, in the spirit of Shrek, I think we should go through 80% of the patrons in our just regular voices.
Okay.
And then we should start over again, reading all the patrons with a Scottish brogue.
Okay, we're not doing that, but I get the joke. We want to thank our patrons, including...
Because I referenced it earlier, and maybe several times since.
Including Just Cause,
Lindsay, Halik,
the supreme ruler of this podcast,
Bill Haynes,
Zesty,
Captain Jean-Luc Picard. Wait, I'm turning into Burgess Meredith again. I can't.
Heather Tuggle,
Jody Passanisi,
Jonathan Day,
Particle Man,
Little Miss Chicken Nugget,
Zana the Mayor,
T. Smith,
Larissa Maestro. It's just getting louder. Just getting Larissa Maestro.
Jackson has an unhealthy obsession with Damon.
And Damon's Australian accent.
The more words there are, the harder it gets.
Yeah. And when I'm supposed to be doing another accent on top of the accent I'm already doing.
Tommy Boy is Damon's favorite movie.
We didn't even talk about that. Chris Farley was supposed to be fucking Shrek.
Yeah.
Zachary Hartley.
Karen Kurd.
Caroline Amberson.
Travis Vance.
Josh Frigo.
The Elusive fan Gromkin.
The Hands of Fate.
Jeremy Powlen.
It's turning into Ringo, and I feel like you know that. Beth Surmont.
David Mort.
Dr. Malcolm's, Heaving Bosom.
Shit on the Cartouche.
And Lindsay Nell.
I'm pretty proud of shit on the Cartouche.
Shit on the Cartouche.
It's just the right syllables and right lilt. Thank you, everyone. We really appreciate all you patrons, and we appreciate everybody for listening. We're gonna just kind of continue through the Shrek universe. So we've got about 11 movies to go.
Ooh,
we will see you next
remember
episode.
Agreeing to any of that. Although I remember liking Shrek too. But who knows? Oh no. Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me. I have no more eggs in this shit. I said, what about that?
I have no more eggs in this chick. Is that what you said?
Eggs in this shit? I wish I had said eggs in this chick.